Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to continue my look at the Mighty Crusaders series from the 80s. So this is issue 2, and this is the first one to have the red circle logo up in the corner. We didn't have that on the first issue last time. And so that's kind of what this era of the Archie heroes is referred to as, is the red circle group. And that's also the name that DC used when they tried to reboot this, I don't know, around 2010, I think. Have to double check that and see, but that's when they brought in like Webb and the Shield and them again. So here we've got the second issue, and we have a full cover here on this one. So we've got our heroes that we were reintroduced to in the first issue, fighting against some new ones here, and so these are some more previously existing heroes that they're bringing back into the issue here. So we have Captain Flag, Hangman, Steel Sterling, Fox, Blackjack, Firefly, and Bob Phantom. And we've got this moniker here, the Malevolent Legion of Juggernauts. And so that's someone really going out of their way to come up with an acronym for MLJ, which that was the original name for Archie Comics, you know, the company back in the day. So it looks like someone wanted to incorporate that here and really tried hard to come up with a name for that. So let's take a look at the issue here. So here on the inside front cover, we have a guide here to all the characters that are on the outside cover. And then we have a little word from the editor here, which is Rich Buckler, kind of talking about the series and new series coming out that they have planned. I think some of these came out. I don't know if all of them did or not, but I do know, you know, there were some other series in this line. I have a few of them. I don't have like the complete run like I do for Mighty Crusaders here. And so our credits for this issue are written, drawn, and edited by Rich Buckler, inking by F. Giacoa and Friends. So not sure who all that is. I don't know. Maybe it turned into a rush job by the time it got to the inking stages. Who knows? So here we've got the continuation of the Atlantis Rising story from the last issue. And here we've got our heroes out in the water fighting this giant robot with a guy controlling it, and we see the Fly here kind of zapping that guy. Again, the robots from the last issue. And so here, you know, we've got the fight kind of wrapping up. The dome city that Eterno has is kind of flying away. And then we have someone teleporting in here, and it's Brain Emperor, who we saw the last issue is kind of pulling the strings on Eterno here. It's notable here, too, that this little section here, let's see if we can get a better look at that on screen here. So the silhouette there is done in Zipatone, which is an actual film with dots on it that would be applied to the art. And you don't really see that anymore with digital coloring and effects and that kind of thing. There's sort of other ways to achieve that now. Some guys do still use it. You would see it a lot right around this time of the 80s with the black and white boom. Kind of took off after Ninja Turtles. Everybody was kind of using that in black and white comics at the time. But it's something that, you know, some guys do still use it, but you rarely see it anymore like you used to, for sure. I always felt like it really complemented the sort of dot pattern printing that comics had at the time, too. And so we'll see. I noticed a lot of Zipatone in this issue, too. We got a little bit more detailed version of it here on Brain Emperor there. And so, yeah, and I thought it was interesting, too, this kind of close-up of Brain Emperor. Looks real kind of Neil Adams, and we'll see a lot of that throughout the art. But I feel like this portrait in particular just really kind of gives off Neil Adams vibes. And so then we see Brain Emperor kind of working behind the scenes here, controlling the satellite from the previous issue. And then we're, you know, back into space. So we have the satellite that the bad guys have, and then this is the Comet's ship here that a lot of the heroes have met on. And yeah, down here, so we're cutting back to the heroes now and them talking, and you can see the background here of space in this panel. That's pretty much all Zipatone. I hope that's showing up on screen. But yeah, and there's a lot of it. It's a little harder to tell, too, here with Black Hood, because he's been colored, but there's a lot of Zipatone in him, too, like for the shadows. So it kind of creates this nice shading effect with him. But again, that's a little harder to see because they have, you know, just colored on top of it too, so it kind of blends in a little more there. So basically what's happened here is the Shield and Comet have gone off to fight, and they've kind of told Black Hood to kind of hold down the fort, but he's sort of feeling, you know, left out, and like maybe he's not pulling his own weight enough. So eventually he kind of takes off from the ship and goes over to the satellite. And I think, yeah. And so he finds something too that the Comet had for him, and it's going to turn out to be, this is like a new bike for him that can kind of travel through space. So we have Comet over at the satellite, and we see Brain Emperor gets the drop on him here, and meanwhile Shield's outside the satellite kind of trying to find a way in, but he gets magnetized to the side of the satellite here. Then we cut to Eterno here, kind of going on with his plan for like these superhuman robot things he's creating, and again they're calling him his Mighty Legion of Juggernauts. So again, that's what we're calling the Giants here apparently, and again just a reference to the original name of it, MLJ Comics. Then we have these other sort of drones from the satellite coming out and attacking Shield on the side. And then we see this bike pull up, and so this is Black Hood with the sort of space motorcycle that Comet has provided for him, and he blasts the drones and frees Shield here. So now they're still outside the satellite here. That's kind of interesting, this panel here specifically too. We've got the Shield kind of looking at part of the satellite out there, and to me that's just kind of giving off sort of like Wally Wood almost vibes for the satellite there. Kind of looks like some, reminds me of old Wally Wood spaceship details. So I don't know if Buckler was looking at that there or not, but I mean, why not? So then Shield kind of tears its way into the satellite here and finds the Comet, and then they all go back to the Comet spaceship here. Then we cut back to the heroes here. They've captured one of these giant robots and are taking it back to their base. And again, kind of the anatomy here of the robot. This is also where I'm really kind of seeing Neil Adams' influence here in the characters. And we've got the heroes here talking about, you know, what their next move is going to be. And then we get this big explosion here. And then here are the other heroes that we saw on the back cover showing up and attacking. And again, you know, these aren't necessarily new characters. They're new to our story so far. But again, these are pre-existing Archie superheroes. I assume if you're reading this, you know, back in 1983, you're familiar with those characters. And so this new group of heroes is attacking the other heroes, and then we find out they're being controlled by Eterno here on the next page. And so even on this sort of image of Eterno here, we have like another kind of effect going on with the artwork. Again, I'm not sure. Hope that's showing up okay. But it does seem to be like some more sort of Zipatone style. Maybe technically a different effect. But again, just, you know, something to add some more depth to the image there too. Kind of pushing him into the background a little more, bringing the action to the forefront. So then Jaguar shows up and he's taken out by the other heroes. And then we see Webb and his pal here are kind of hiding out at the end. And they're avoiding, you know, the attack so far. And so then we have our to be continued next issue. So then we have this letters column, Crusader comments. And then we have this backup story of Mr. Midnight, which is kind of meh. Won't really go into that here. I wasn't too impressed with it. Again, just feels, I don't think this will tie into the main story or anything, so I'm not really interested in that. Then we have some more ads here for some of the other Red Circle titles that are coming, like The Fly and Black Hood. And so, you know, some of those came out, and it looks like we've got some Thunder Agent books here and different things. And then back to our cover here. So that's issue number 2 of the Mighty Crusaders, the all-new adventures. What are you thinking so far? Again, I like these characters. I haven't really read too much of this, so again, this is my first time going through it. I feel like they were doing a lot of work here to kind of introduce all the characters in the first issue. Hopefully, in subsequent issues, we find out more about the new heroes that have shown up. Because again, I'm kind of familiar with them, but not that much. And again, this was like maybe a 20-year publishing gap at this point, but again, we're talking like early 80s now for this, up to now. Yeah, the bad thing is there's not like a good place to read these old Golden Age Archie superhero comics. I know there's some facsimile editions coming, but I know there used to be the Archie app where you could read some of this older stuff, but I don't think it's really anywhere else right now. If there is somewhere where we can read these, let me know in the comments below. I'd definitely like to check that out. I almost feel like, I don't know I assume sales is kind of the big issue, but I feel like I could take some collections of older Archie superhero books. Maybe that's wanting too much from them right now, but it'd be kind of cool to check out, read some of the old stories, kind of get some more backstory on some of these characters. Be sure to come back. I'm going to try to continue going through the series. This took longer than I wanted to get to the second issue. So come back and I'll check out the third issue and let me know what you think in the comments below. And thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter/X at Detective651. Also on Instagram at Detective651. Be sure to check out my t-shirt store at tpublic.com/user/Detective651. Got a lot of nerdy designs on there, and there's sales all the time, so check it out frequently.